So, good night, everyone. We are about to get started. Thank you for your patience. I'm aware that Jason informed you earlier that we're just waiting for more persons to join before we commence. Can everyone hear me? Yes?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason. All right. So, we're just going to get started right now. I'm going to share my screen so we can do a little bit of some fun stuff before we get into the detail of things.
Uh, Good day, Renrick. Could you kindly mute your microphone, please? Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so we will get started by talking about some interesting facts. Did you know facts about Canada regarding working in Canada? So, some of the things that we think um, some of you may not know, but it's very interesting to note. The first one is the minimum wage in Canada. Like Unlike many other countries, Canada's minimum wage is not federal, it's provincial. This means that each province, they have their own minimum wage. It fluctuates independently of all the other provinces. Another thing is that Canada is always looking for educated or skilled individuals to fill the labor gaps because since Canada is known to be an aging country, the birth rate is low and there's a huge gap between those persons who are getting older and new babies being born. So because of this, immigration is one of the go-to places for Canada's labor market. Another fact is that tech jobs are high in demand in Canada. This is especially the case. It's especially true in BC, so British Columbia and Ontario. In British Columbia, it's primarily for Vancouver, and in Ontario, it's mostly in Waterloo. These provinces even went as far as creating their own immigration pathways for tech heads to select them as their province of choice. So they kind of made it an incentive for immigrants coming to Canada. So they made different pathways to make it a lot easier if you're in the tech industry. So you'll select their province. Um, Video game industry is another big one. It's kind of like a segue from the tech. So it's a big thing in Canada. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Canada right now, and it's being predicted that in the next 2 years it can increase by at least 25%. Another thing is payday in Canada. So people in Canada often get paid twice monthly, which is uncommon for some countries. In Canada, most persons get paid in the middle of the month and at the end. Casual Fridays. So many workplaces in Canada, regardless of the type of company or the industry, a lot of them have dress down Fridays. So it's not uncommon to walk into even the bank on a Friday and they're wearing jeans. Some companies do color coordination on Fridays as well. I've seen this in places like TD Bank, RBC Bank in Ontario and Alberta. Um, Another thing, the average salary for Canada for Canadians, it's about 54,630 a year. So this works out to a little bit over $1,000 per month. It varies obviously from province to province. Federal and provincial laws in Canada protect the workers and employers. So these laws cover you for
You understand what?
your minimum wage, health and safety standards, hours of work, annual vacation, maternity and paternity leave, etc. So this is another big one, leave, maternity, paternity leave for persons having a new baby. A lot of countries do not offer this kind of incentive that Canada has. But in Canada, moms and dads are both eligible for pregnancy or prenatal leave. In Canada, new moms can get up to 18 months off work with pay for when you have a child. This is also true. So even if you have, they also have a leeway if you adopt a child, you can get your maternity leave as well.
Okay.
4-day work week. A district in Nova Scotia actually recently made headlines
No.
around the world because they've implemented a pilot program where they're doing 9 months of a 4-day work week. Started in
Zero
June.
zero 057. That's Chris Washington.
I'm sorry, guys. Just one quick reminder. Could you just turn off your microphones? So that's the last one, the 4-day work week. The district in Nova Scotia, it's called Guysborough, if you guys want to look it up. They started that in June 2020 when the pandemic hit. So they're trying that 9-month thing where they're trying to see if a 4-day work week is more productive for the employees of each company. So all the companies in that area agreed to it, and it's currently ongoing. So we will get started. My colleague Ashik, she will take over for the intro for us tonight. Ashik, are you there? No. Okay, so
Okay,
I'll
hi guys. Sorry.
you can go ahead, Ashik. You can continue. So guys, if you don't know, Ashik works in the Kingston office. So she's currently in Kingston, Jamaica, and she's gonna be proceeded. She's gonna be working with me tonight for the presentation. Ashik, are you there?
We're just
No?
having some technical difficulties. I'm just trying to get her back online here.
Okay, so I will proceed and she will jump in when she's available. So a little bit about Minaj for Immigration. If you didn't join last night or the night before, our company we were incorporated in 2018. We have 2 locations, one in Canada and one in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm the RCIC for the company. My name is Miki Graham. I've been practicing since May 2010. I've been practicing with 3 companies in Canada, 2 in Ontario, 1 in Alberta, before I started with Minash Pro. Some unique features about the company, it's on your screen. We have a resubmission policy. So if we assist you with your file and it's an unsuccessful application for whatever reason, we will help you again free of charge. The only fees that you would pay at this time is the immigration processing fees, but our fee, you only pay that once regardless. Cumulative fee system, what this means is that whatever you paid goes towards the end goal. So if you're paying for if you're interested in a work permit application and then you do a consultation with us, when you get to the retainer for the work permit, we're going to deduct the consultation fee that you paid initially. We have flexible payment packages. We have multiple levels of representation. We have excellent customer service, as our clients can attest to, and we are always available. Ashik, are you able to jump in now?
I'm still not able to get her microphone working. So if you can just continue until we're able
Okay.
to rectify.
No problem. So some of the benefits of using a representative for whatever application you're doing for immigration. One of the things we always tell our clients is that practice makes perfect. So because this is something that we do every day as immigration professionals, it's a lot easier for us to spot mistake, to spot errors, to have like your application smoothest, seamless without a boomerang situation where it's back and forth with immigration or having errors being made. We're trained to identify certain elements, the good and the bad, and then we kind of hone in on those things. Immigration forms, as you know, it's a lot of paperwork. It can be tedious, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can end up being, rejected, which obviously no one wants. You can see the other points. I'm going to just keep going. So tonight's topic, as you guys know, is work permit. And I'm guessing that everyone is here because you are interested in this either for yourself or someone else. So firstly, what is a work permit? A work permit is a document that's issued by IRCC that allows foreign nationals to work legally in Canada for a specific period of time. Um, in terms of eligibility, the process varies because we have different types of work permits. Some are employer specific and some are open. So it depends on which one you have. You may need certain documents. Well, the document requirements will change depending on the one that you're eligible for and the one that you're interested in. One of the main things about work permit is that most of them, it has to be supported by what we call an LMIA, or labor market impact assessment. So um, one second, guys. So even applicants who are exempt from an LMIA, they should be aware that there are other specific documents that they will need to get. So there are a bunch of eligibility criteria that has to be met in order to apply for a work permit. Types of work permit, you have the two main types are employer specific or an open work permit. However, it still has different subgroups. So for example, you can have an open work permit, but it can be restricted or unrestricted. It can be restricted depending on occupation or your employer. So it does branch off into different sections as well. So the LMIA. So this is a major hurdle for persons who are looking to come to Canada for work. A lot of times you'll find that you apply for a job online from outside Canada as a foreign national, but the employers don't want to help you because you do not have an LMIA, or they don't want to help you to get an LMIA. So they'll say, okay, we can't help you. You do not have a work permit. We don't want to do it. The reason for this is because LMIA, it's issued by ESDC, so Employment and Social Development Canada. The procedure to get a positive LMIA, it's rigorous, and some companies, they just don't want to do it because they know they have to meet a lot of requirements by the government and by Service Canada. One of the main requirements for it as well is for that company to prove that no other Canadian permanent resident or citizen is eligible for the position, and they have to show proof of this. So they have to show that they have advertised the position. They have to show records of who came in for an interview, why that person was refused, and why they're going to give it to you as an outsider instead of someone in Canada. Now, some companies can get this a lot easier than others. It depends on certain factors such as the kind of role the company is trying to fill, the type of job that's available, and the location. I know that in Alberta, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, these kind of provinces, it's a lot, you'll find companies that can just get you an LMIA like that. So they have a lot of foreign nationals working for them anyway. It's not a big deal for them. If you're going to be going to like a really populated area like Toronto, it's a little bit harder to get this a positive LMIA unless you're like going into an occupation that going in to fill a role that's really you're the only person suited for it. So there are different ways to get around it. For example, let's say you're a hairdresser and you're familiar with the trends in, you know, maybe in your country at the time, or certain styles that hairdressing company is not able to fill locally, then you can definitely get a positive LMIA. If you're coming in to do a certain kind of like let's say it's a restaurant and you're the only person that knows the recipe because it's a family recipe, or you know it's something that just certain part of the country you came from, those are the only persons who can prepare those meals. So there is a certain way to go around it. This is something that would have to be assessed on a case-by-case basis, obviously. LMIA exemption. So depending on the type of work, you may get away with applying for your work permit without the need for an LMIA. Here on the screen, you see a bunch of occupations or categories that you can apply to for a work permit without having an LMIA. Religious workers. So if you're coming in to do work with the church, if you get a job offer inside the church, you do not need the LMIA, so you'll be exempt from that. And again, there are additional requirements outside of the LMIA. So if it's a church giving you a job offer, they also need to meet certain requirements such as oh, sorry, I just got a message from Ashik. Her microphone is working now, so she is gonna take over right after this slide. So International Experience Canada, this is another one. We're going to get into this because this is the one that persons talk about a lot when they're often asking, can I do a work and travel in Canada program? Like the US has it, you can just go, students can just go over there and work summers. Um, in Canada, we have something similar. However, your country, your nationality, it has to be consistent. It has to be a part of a bilateral agreement. So Canada has a joint agreement with certain countries, and you have to be a citizen of one of those countries. We will get to that list after, so I'll leave that for now. If you're the spouse accompanying an international student in Canada, you can also get away with applying for your work permit without having to meet this LMIA requirement. If you're a postgraduate work permit holder, you'll get your work permit obviously without the LMIA. We discussed this a little bit on Monday night when we spoke about students who come to Canada to study. Spousal sponsorship. If you have a spousal sponsorship that's pending, so if you're being sponsored in Canada, depending on where you are in the application, you can apply for it. I believe last year in 2019 or 2018, Canada introduced a pilot program where if you have valid status in Canada when you submit your application for permanent residence under the spousal sponsorship category, you can actually apply for your work permit at the same time when you're applying for your permanent residence. It's expedited in that way, so you can get it in about 3 to 4 months. But the requirement is that you should have status. Recently, during the pandemic, they've announced that if you have a pending permanent residence application, regardless, so even if you don't have status but your PR is pending, you can also apply for your work permit. This is something that's a temporary change. I don't know when they will revert to the old system. Vulnerable workers. So if you have a restricted work permit, so if you have a work permit that's closed or it's employer specific, and then you can show proof that, you know what, this employer, they're taking advantage of me, they're trying to abuse me in certain ways, then you can actually get an open work permit on the contingent of that. So normally you would have to leave, but recently the government changed it to kind of make a, just to make like a leeway for these persons, because the employers would be abusing them to tell them, okay, if you don't listen to me, you're going to get sent to home. So because of that, they came up with that vulnerable workers category for, so you can apply for an open work permit and kind of like break away from your employer. And then you have the countries who are a part of the NAFTA agreement. They also do not need, they can get away with applying for their work permit without having to meet LMIA requirements. I believe Ashik is going to step in now. Ashik, you can go ahead and take over from here.
Okay, hi everyone. Just want to apologize for the little error earlier. Right, so we're gonna go into the IMP, which is the International Mobility Program. It's basically a program that allows employers to offer jobs to foreign nationals, right?
Without the LMIA.
Without the LMIA, right? So in most cases, what the employer has to do is they have to submit an offer of employment to the Canadian government, after which the foreign national now has to submit an application for the work permit.
Okay, so the work and travel, what she spoke about, it's kind of consistent with the work and travel program. So remember I said Canada, they have an agreement with certain countries. So in order to be eligible for this, you must be a national, a citizen of one of these countries. We have a chart that we're going to display that tells you, it gives a little more insight on this. It's on the screen right now. So in order to be eligible for this particular program, you need to fall into one of 3 categories, which are on the screen: working holiday, young professional, or international co-op. So it goes by age, and it also has some different subgroups that guides the eligibility for it. As you can see, the countries there, they are primarily European countries. We do not have any, right now, there are no Caribbean countries on the list. I'm going through slowly so you can just get an idea of what countries are eligible for it. These programs allow persons to come to Canada and work, move around very easily. As I said, if you want to participate in the program, you have to be a citizen of one of these countries. So 3 slides, Andorra, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Chile, Costa Rica, Croatia. As you can see, they're primarily European countries. So I'm gonna keep it moving. Ashik, you can do charity and religious workers.
Right. So as Miniki had explained earlier, this generally, it is an LMIA exempt offer, and it generally applies to persons in the church or persons who are coming in to do voluntary work, right? So for this, there's normally no remuneration except in the case of accommodations or just a basic stipend for persons who come in under this specific application. Generally, it has to be the kind of work where they're going to preach the doctrine, or there are no Canadian, they're not taking work from Canadians or permanent residents in Canada.
Okay. So for spouses accompanying international students. So if you're coming to study or your spouse, let's say your spouse is studying in Canada and you want to join them, you can actually be with them in Canada with an open work permit. So that way one of the parties are one of you are studying, one of you are working. Sorry, I'm just gonna go back a little bit. So if a foreign national is approved for a study permit with their spouse accompanying them, so you can apply with the spouse, or your spouse can apply after. So you can come together or after. I think we spoke about this a little bit on Monday night when I said there are certain factors that we would look at to guide you, to tell you, should you apply together jointly, or should, you know, the student come first and the spouse join them after. So it depends on certain things such as how much assets you have, what are the ties like to your home country. So there are certain elements that we will kind of assess first before we advise how that kind of application should be done. So this work permit, it's open, so it will allow you to come in. Sorry, this work permit, it's an open one, and you will be able to work full time, unlike the student. So the party that's studying in Canada, that person will have 20 hours of they can work for only 20 hours, and the student can, sorry, their spouse can work for a maximum of whatever they want. So it's this one is pretty good because it is very flexible. Also, it allows you to work for any employer you want in Canada. There are certain things that can be looked at. So this one can be technical to an extent that, let's say you have a common law status, you're going to be required to, in order to maintain that work permit, you should continue having common law status. So you can't come in and then you take a job in the East and your spouse is going to school in the West. That can be looked at very heavily by the assessing officer later on when you want to renew or when you want to apply for permanent residence. So that's one of the little things that I've seen in this practice that kind of jumped out at me, because most persons kind of ignore that. However, it's something that goes hand in hand with the status that you put in while you're applying for the open work permit. So postgraduate work permit. Ashik, you can go ahead and elaborate on this one.
Okay. So I think Miniki had spoke about this on Monday night when she discussed study permits. This is generally persons who are looking to gain permanent residence through the CEC class. She would have discussed that option last night when she was discussing express entry. Essentially, this allows persons who have studied at Canadian institutions to gain the necessary Canadian work experience to apply for permanent residence. So even the spouses of postgraduate work permit holders are eligible to apply for their work permit if their spouse is employed under a specific NOC code on their postgraduate work permit. Persons on a PGWP are allowed to work anywhere in Canada for any employer, and so essentially this also means it's not a closed work permit.
It's open and flexible.
Right, it's open and flexible, and it's generally valid for anywhere between 1 month to 3 years. So just like the time you study.
1 year. Sorry, I think.
Sorry, yeah, 1 year, 1 to 3 years. I'm so sorry. Right. So it's generally valid for anywhere between 1 to 3 years as the time of your study permit.
So I think we touched on this a while ago as well. So if you're being sponsored and you're inside Canada, so this is limited to persons who are being sponsored while they're in Canada. So you cannot be outside of Canada and you're being sponsored and then you apply for this. It's only limited to in Canada spousal sponsorship applications. So just to note that you can apply for your open work permit if you fall under this category. Vulnerable workers. So this is what I was saying earlier. If you're in Canada and you're tied to a specific employer, but you're being abused in some way and you can show proof of that. So usually there is a, right now, as I said, it is a something that's pretty new. It was only introduced recently because persons were reporting to immigration that they were being taken advantage of by their employers. So immigration came up with this kind of like a little pathway for them to say, you know what, you can stay, but you have to show proof that you know what you're saying. So persons cannot just get up and abuse it to say, oh, my employers are, you know, they're treating me bad and this and that. I think they have certain requirements that you will have to show, maybe like a police report or documents that can prove that you were actually being taken advantage of. And then you can get to access the open work permit from a closed work permit or an employer specific work permit. Ashik? Are you there?
I'm trying to reconnect her.
Oh, okay. So job offers for foreign nationals. As you guys know, because this is probably one of the most asked questions that we get all the time, how can I get a job offer in Canada? So as I stated earlier, if you get a job offer, it has to be with an LMIA. So unless you're under one of the LMIA exempt categories, like with the church, or you're coming in to do like a performance. So let's say like a DJ or a soca artist or someone like that coming in, they do not need to get an LMIA. However, if you're coming in to do a general occupation, just a knock 0A or B, one of these ones, then you will need to get an LMIA. So you usually you're going to have to look for your own job or you hire a company that can help you with it. Now, I am aware that there are a lot of companies that charge a lot of money for this, but I can tell you right now, you have to be very vigilant on that because you're not going to, it's not a good thing to go pay your money and then you're expecting or you have that high expectation that you will definitely get a job offer and you don't. So in Canada, for the recruitment companies, normally you do not pay them, they get paid by the employer. So that's another thing I want you guys to be mindful of. Good places that you can actually use to look for job offers are the provincial sites. So each province have their own site, they have their immigration aspect, they have the classified. Government sites also have their classified section where they advertise jobs. You can network, so you can start doing this, obviously LinkedIn, Facebook, certain places where you can link up with other persons who can tell you or guide you or who've successfully done it. They have, I'm aware of certain little niche that they have for that. Job portals, so you can check on Indeed, Workopolis, LinkedIn. So you often find recruiters on there, and I'm pretty sure they don't charge, so that's good for you. Do not have to pay a fee for this. Ensure your resume is up to date and it's tailored to suit the job that you are applying for. Ensure that it's easily understood and everything is logical and up to date. Oh yeah, so this is another thing. If you have your credentials assessed, last time we spoke about assessing your credential by one of the government bodies that's authorized to do so. If you have a credential assessment attached to your resume, this can also increase your chances of getting a job offer. If you have an express entry application code, so when you submit your application for express entry, you get a job code like a that you can use when you're applying to certain employers. It tells them that, listen, this person is eligible. They've already applied for, they've already submitted their interest to apply for permanent residence in Canada, and this is a good candidate. So these are certain things that the employers will be looking at, and it can actually increase your chances of getting a job offer. This chart, we just thought it would be nice to show you what kind of minimum wage or what kind of pay persons in Canada are getting. It's basically the minimum wage as of October 1st, 2020 for Canada. So as you can see, None of it used to be Alberta for the longest time that has the highest minimum wage. And then recently, I believe Nunavut kind of blew them out of the water. So I think the lowest looks like it's New Brunswick. Yeah, it looks like that's New Brunswick right now. And the highest is Nunavut. So we're going to take questions right now. I can see that we have a bunch of persons asking questions in the chat, and I'm just going to go through it. Okay, some introductions. Oh, and another thing, yes, I'm aware a lot of you are asking for the recordings for last night and the night before. Jason will tell you where you can send your requests, or I'm not sure how he's gonna get that over to you, but we do have the recordings and we will be providing it to you guys.
I have the, excuse me, I have the majority list of the people that signed up and registered from the links. I have those email addresses. And for tonight, plus the other 2 nights, a lot of people have put in their email addresses in the chat. So everybody that has registered and or has put their email address in the chat box will receive a copy, a link actually that we'll be putting up in Dropbox for them to receive the copy of.
I think you can put your email in there, Jason, so in case they didn't register, they can
Definitely.
reach out to you.
I put it in, but I'll put it in again.
Okay. All right, so if you have any questions, now is the time to do like raise your hands and I will, oh, okay. I'm just gonna close this for now.
We had a question in regards to if you are able to assist in finding job placement.
This is something that we do not do at this time, unfortunately. We can guide you, so we can direct you in the right, we can point you in the right direction, but we're not taking clients for that at this time. I'll advise you later on because I do have some upcoming meetings planned for that, but I will keep you posted. So keep watching our Instagram and we'll announce it there if we do decide to do that. So I'm gonna take a question from Anna. Anna, you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes,
Right?
good night, everyone. So my question is, do you assist with housing?
Not particularly. We have contacts for some realtors that our clients have been using. So we could give you contacts for them. They don't charge a fee, they get paid by the homeowners. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can send me an email and I will be able to link you the right way. I'll send you the contacts for those realtors.
Okay.
We have somebody that's asking if you can go over the IMP.
Okay, let me go back to that one. Okay, so we were explaining what the International Mobility Program is all about. And essentially what it is for persons who, these persons can come to Canada without an LMIA. So you can apply for your open work permit without LMIA. The IMP is kind of broad. So it has these ones that we went over for, sorry, I'm just trying to. So the IEC, that's a part of it. The charity, religious workers, I believe these ones are all a part of it. So the IMP, it's essentially what it is allowing persons, foreign nationals, to get their work permits without having to go the LMIA restrictive route. Any more questions? I can't really see the hands.
Does Menaspro help or assist with home support program pilot work permit process?
Yes, this is another one that's still open. It's a pilot program that's that allow for persons who don't know. This is one that allows you to apply for your work permit, and then once you accumulate 2 years of work in Canada under it, you can get your permanent residence. So we assist persons with this. Some of the basic eligibility criteria for it is having a valid English test and some post-secondary education, as well as work experience in it. So there are certain ways that we go about that. Two of the things that we cannot change is the English credential. You need that, and you definitely need the 1 year minimum post-secondary education. In terms of the work experience, that part is a little bit flexible for us to assist with. But if you are able to do the English test and the requirements of the English test, it's not as rigid as for the other programs. It's pretty basic, but you need at least 1 year. And you also obviously need a job offer. For this kind of program, the job offer does not have to have an LMIA, and the employer does not have to meet a lot of restrictive conditions in order to give you that job offer.
Does persons pay tuition to the school before applying for a visa?
Tonight is not necessarily for that, but to answer the question, you don't have to. You do not have to pay your tuition before applying for your visa. Some schools require that you do a deposit in order to get the admissions letter. Some schools don't. But for the application, for purpose of the application, when you're applying for a study permit, we usually recommend that you have proof that some or all of the first year's tuition is already paid. 4 persons have their hands raised right now. Christina, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good night. Well, I'm currently a student. I will finish my nursing degree at the end of this year. A friend had invited me to come up and look forward, but I wanted to know, should I apply for a visitor's visa or should I apply for a work visa? Or, sorry, and then come back up later? Because it'd be better to look for a job in person than online.
So you want to find you're from a visa requiring country, and you want to find out if you should apply for your visa to come up and look for the job, or you should look for the job before you come to Canada?
Yes.
That's actually an excellent question. I find that when you're here, it's a lot easier to connect with the employer. So if you're able to come in and you have your resume on hand, you can go to the meetings, you can let them know what your status is like. They can help you. Well, it's like a name to the face, right? So they may be willing to help you more than if you're just applying from outside. So just showing them that you can walk in, you can go to the interview, you have the interest, you let it be known that you're not eligible to work in Canada, but you're willing to, you're willing to go the extra mile to work with them to try to get the required documents, then it can improve your chances. But that one is something that's pretty subjective. It's dependent on you. If you're coming in for a vacation and you're just doing that as a bonus, and yeah, if you're coming in just for that and you can't afford it, and it's kind of risky then.
Oh, okay. Because they were telling me to come up for a vacation and
Okay.
look, because I will have some place to stay and so on. That'd be easier that way, and then I can go back if I find a job. But I
Yeah,
was wondering.
that's something I've seen many persons do. Persons do it all the time.
Okay. So what visa would I have to apply for? I'm from Barbados too.
I believe Bajans, I believe you use an ETA.
And express entry?
No, like you need an electronic travel document.
Oh.
Yeah, ETA.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna take a question from Jodian. You can go ahead and
Hi, good night.
good night. How are you?
I am doing good. How are you? All right.
Good.
What I wanted to ask is applications for jobs in Canada. Is it something that someone can apply for while they're outside of Canada? Or is it that I have to go through an agency? And what is the process for that?
Okay, so ideally, normally you have to apply from outside Canada. It's only recently because of the pandemic that they're even
Okay.
allowing persons to apply for this from inside Canada, right? You do not have to go through an agent. You can do it on your own. As I showed you in one of the previous slides, some of the good places that you can use to apply for jobs from outside Canada.
Okay, I was having some, That's the slide that's up now.
Yeah, I put it up right now.
Okay, let me just screenshot that because I was having some issues.
Okay.
All right then. All right then, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Shanike, your hand is up. I'm gonna just give you the floor. You can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good night. I just want to find out if there's a teacher exchange program in Canada.
Not that I know of, unless you fall under one of the IEC categories.
Okay.
I can't give you the final word on that. I'm not 100% sure, but not to my knowledge for a teacher exchange program.
Okay.
Akinolu, is your hand up? I think we lost that person. Okay. This is moving really fast. Okay, Kimon, you can go ahead with your question.
Right. I'm not sure if you had said it, but how do I find out the what do you call it now? The careers are the careers that are a part of the categories that they'd want in Canada.
So you want to know the in-demand occupations. It
Right.
depends on, it's far and wide, but it's really provincial. So if you're trying to check that, you may have to check the different provincial websites to see which, you can check their classified listings and you can kind of get a vague idea, or you can do a Google search and it will tell you. We only looked at the tech provinces. So we looked at Ontario and Vancouver for wanting a lot of persons in the IT and technical department.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else with their hands up? Lisa Wiseman, you can go ahead with your question.
Hi, thank you. Good night, everybody. I'm
Good night.
enjoying these sessions. They're really helpful.
welcome.
One of the things I wanted to ask, if you have to apply for a foreign job in Canada, but you're home and you run to the you want to apply for a job, are you able to, do you have to do the IELTS and all the other paperwork first, or you can just apply and then if you get through, then you have to do all that paperwork? How does that work?
I'm not sure I understand your question. You mean if you see a specific job that's advertising, if you have to
Right.
get all your paperwork in, well, if you're going to be applying for the job, I'm sure they will have certain requirements, right? So they want to see that you have this, that, or that. It's good to have it available. In terms of the WEST assessment that I mentioned earlier, I said it can go with your resume. So whatever jobs you're applying to, it would be good for you. It will increase your chances of getting a job offer.
Okay,
once
thanks.
you have that.
Okay, great. Thanks you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Dakota, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hello, good night. What I want to know is you have a degree in info in the tech, but you don't have any experience. What no code would I fall under, and would I also be considered for a tech job since I don't have any experience in the tech world, but I have a degree?
Okay, good question, Dakota. A lot of the companies or the pathways, they do require some amount of experience in it. You can check, as I said, it's a provincial thing, but as far as I know, for Vancouver, they require some, they do require some experience. So I'd recommend that you get minimum 1 year, because we mentioned last time about the provincial programs. A lot of them they have dual requirements. They require that you meet at least one of the categories in order for you to even apply. So most of them, you need 1 year minimum experience. I recommend that you get that before before you can at least start looking at your options broadly.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Marsha. If you can mute the microphone, we can hear you washing your dishes.
Okay, and who is it? Marika, did you go already? Marcia?
It's Marcia.
Marcia, okay, sorry. You can go ahead.
Hi, good night. I'm an information technology teacher. I have 4 years experience. Would it be possible to get one of those IT jobs?
I would like to speak with you in terms of your eligibility outside of even jobs. So if you meet the requirements, it sounds to me like you could be a good candidate for even the express entry. So I wouldn't limit you, excuse me, I wouldn't limit you to just trying to find a job. You can probably be eligible for the express entry in terms of permanent residence as well. And we can also look at your profile against one of the provinces that's requiring that has tech jobs, tech professionals hiring right now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask that you message me outside of this forum, and then we can take a look at your profile, and I'll have a one-on-one with you.
Do I message you on Instagram? Because
No. Jason, you can put up my email in there, or you can. So look in the chat, Marcia. Is it Marcia? Sorry.
Marisa, that's okay.
Marcia. Okay, look in the chat, and he'll put my email for you to message. You're welcome. Jody and
Marsha
Stuart.
Ellington, mute your mic. Marsha Ellington.
Hi,
Jody,
good night.
yeah, go ahead. Good
Okay.
night.
I spoke to you already, but I just had a question that I forgot. Based on research that I've conducted, I'm seeing where it is stated that the Canadian resume is different from what we might use here in the Caribbean. One, is that true? And two, how do we get information on the format of that resume?
Okay, Marsha, good. We get that question so many times. I don't know if I can say offhand with much certainty that we have a Canadian resume. I am aware that we generally have a certain format, but I don't know if I would say it's Canadian per se. I think a lot of persons from other countries, they have similar resume as well. You can Google this, or I can send you just a basic format. But essentially, we don't have one standard resume across Canada.
So you said there's one standard.
No,
okay,
I said
so
I do not know of any one particular standard in terms of a resume, like a particular format. So you have various formats and it's all acceptable. The main thing is that it contains your information and it's up to date. That's pretty much primary. But if you want like a sample or something, you can send me a message, and I think Raquel in the one of the clerks can send something to you.
Okay. All right, then thank you so much.
You're welcome. Time check.
I have a question here.
Jason?
You have a passport that expires in 2022.
I'm not sure whose microphone is on mute, but I'm having a very hard time hearing.
Mark Ellington, if you can mute your microphone, please.
Oh, okay. I think I muted it.
If you have a passport that will expire in 2022, should persons renew from now or after when it's closer?
That's a good question. 2022, we're almost in. I would not use that.
Sorry, they may not be in the island when it expires.
I'm not sure. I need more detail for that question. If you have a passport that's about to expire in 2022, we're almost in 2021. I would not use that passport. I wouldn't recommend using that passport to apply for anything. I don't know how some countries, they have your passport it has to be like, let's say 6 months before you can 6 months before the expiry, before you can renew or something. So I think it varies from country to country. I'm not sure if there's a standard thing. But if you're going to be applying for something, we always recommend that you renew your passport first, because immigration will not give you a document beyond the validity of your passport. Okay, so I will take.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Tevin.
For persons who don't have a degree, don't have a Canadian visa, so how do one go about getting or applying for the job in Canada? And also, is there like a chance that through the work, the person can get the Canadian visa or Canadian the work permit through the job in Canada?
Well, first, normally you get the job offer first and you use that to get the work permit. So even if you
Oh,
don't have a degree, and if you can still link with the right persons, network with the right persons, or apply to the right website, you can still get a job offer. A lot of persons who I'm working with right now who are here, I wouldn't say the vast majority, maybe like 40% of them, they don't have a degree, but they do have a skill set and they're here working on work permits, employer specific work permits, because they applied from outside and they did get job offers. So a degree is not mandatory in order to get a job offer.
okay, awesome. So is it possible for me to liaise with you or any of your clerks in order to find out the process?
As I said earlier, we don't do employment sourcing, so we don't look for jobs for our clients. However, you can use the chart right now.
Okay.
On the screen, you can just probably screenshot it to kind of guide you. You can just exhaust these options, and then if that does not work, then you can look at another program. Maybe you can further your education in Canada. That will definitely give you access to a work permit while you're studying.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Question. I have a degree and I have 6 years experience in the accounting field. I need to know where I stand in terms of what I'm qualified for.
In terms of which immigration program you're eligible for?
Right.
Okay, so what's your name again? Sorry, I'm not sure who's
Yeah.
Sancia. Okay, Sancia, visit our website and complete the profile assessment, sorry. That will give us some insight into what your overall profile is like and the programs that you will be eligible for.
Okay, I did that, but I haven't gotten a response, which is why I'm asking the question.
Okay, Sancia, just give me your last name. I'm gonna look out for that. Normally the system will automatically send something to you and you have to respond to it in order for us to be notified. But I'm gonna look for your specific profile myself.
Car.
C or K?
Kerr.
Okay, Cynthia, I will look for that and then I'll get back to you.
Okay.
But you have to make sure you respond. You'll automatically get something when the system kind of try to figure you out. And it will send something to you. You have to respond and then I'll get the notification, okay?
Okay.
But I will go and check that.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you.
Can you speak about the assessment on the website?
Sorry, what did you say, Jay?
Speak more about the assessment and how it works on the website?
Okay, so on our website, which is www.menashpro.com, you will see on there start assessment now. What you do is if you have an interest in living in Canada and you're not sure which program is right for you, the best fit for you, you just complete that. It's for free. Once you fill it out, the system will automatically tell you what it is that you're eligible for based on the information that you put in. So try to put in accurate information. Try to put in updated information, include your resume and that of your spouse if applicable. And then what will happen is you will get a response right away stating that either we need more information to narrow down your options, or it will tell you right off the bat that you are eligible for something. Once you get that, you have to respond to it, and then we will be in touch with you thereafter to tell you next step procedures.
Hi.
Good night. Is this Lisa?
Hi. Yes, Lisa again.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes. I wanted to find out by chance. Now, I'm into procurement. I have 2 years experience in procurement. I'm currently a buyer in my company. And I wanted to find out if it is that would I be able to apply for any one of the programs? Because I heard you said it's specific that they have technical field, sorry.
Yes.
Only.
No, it's not just technology only. That's just one that we pointed out that's high in demand in Canada right now.
Okay.
So I did say the tech industry and the video gaming industry, they're kind of booming at this point in time. However, there are a lot of other like careers that's high in demand. So other occupations are on the list as well, but those two, they kind of stand out.
Okay. Well, what I did last night though, I tried to go in and put in the assessment part, and
Mhm.
it came up with a blank screen, and then I got an email in my inbox. Now the email stated that it didn't come from Minash Pro. I didn't know what that meant. And they're saying that it's a spam, that Google didn't recognize it. So I wasn't certain if it went through or not.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's I'm not sure. Maybe it's because it's auto-generated why it did that.
Okay.
But Lisa, I'm making a note of your name, so I want to check and see what your profile is like. Did you add your resume to it?
No, I wasn't able to, but I'll need to do that to go back and search and do it over.
It's recommended. Don't worry about it. I'll check, and then if I need it, I'm gonna let
Sure.
you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm
Lisa,
just
can
gonna.
you put your email in the chat box and we can check that for you?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jason.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. Is this Anika?
Tanya.
Tanya. Okay, I see here. Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Wonderful. For the assessment, I did it online and upload my resume and everything, and I did not get a response.
You didn't get an if you did it and you don't see an automatic response, as Lisa pointed out earlier, it can go to spam. So you have to make sure you check your spam box first before. And then if it's not, if it says we need more information, it means that the system was not able to identify your program. So we will be in touch with you thereafter, but you still have to respond. Regardless of the response that you get on it, we require that you respond to that to say, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not interested, whatever it is. And then we will start communicating from there.
Okay.
Hello,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Hi, good night.
This is Anika. I have a question. I have a certificate in Straddle.
Straddle?
Machine, right? I'm asking, is it a possibility that I'll be able to get a job offer there in Canada?
You would have to check on these. You can see the screen. You'll have to do your own research for that.
Okay.
So as I said, some companies they are specific recruiters.
Okay.
Most of them do not charge, or you can also apply to any of these job boards or job sites that we recommend.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to be wrapping up in about 2 minutes, so I will just take 2 more and then we will.
I can ask, like, do you apart from the LinkedIn that you have right there, do you like know the names of any employment agency that can assist with like getting job offers?
No, we don't. No, I don't. I can't confirm that because I haven't. I'm gonna go with no. Short answer, no.
Hi, good night.
Hi, good night. Atalia?
Yes, I'd just like to ask a question.
Sure.
How can you like, I haven't really read this because I came late. So how do we know like when we're applying somewhere that, okay, this is a legit offer or something like that? What can we use to like
Oh,
to
to help
verify
to
that?
this that that's a little bit hard because they don't have like one, like for immigration professionals, you can verify it on different government sites. In terms of these, it's usually private companies. It's hard to tell. If they're asking you for a lot of money upfront, then that's usually a red flag for me because as I said, in Canada, mostly they don't charge. They get paid, employers will be paying them. So I'm not gonna slam any company to say if they're asking for money, it's fake. I can't do that. But it's just one of the things that should make your radar go off. Or you can ask about it.
All right, I have a question. Is it best for you to have a job offer before applying for the express entry?
If it's sorry, go ahead. If it's best for you to have the job offer first,
Mhm.
it will be good if you have a valid job offer. So keyword in the express entry, it's valid. So your job offer must come with an LMIA in order to be valid. in a case like this, or if it's LMIA exempt, then you can show proof of that. You will get additional points. Yes, you can get up to you can get 200 or 50 points additionally, along with your overall CRS score.
Oh, okay.
So it can be added at any point. You can have your profile in and you're looking for a job offer, and once you get it, you go and you update it, and then the points will go up. But you don't need to have it before submitting your profile.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm gonna just wrap up tonight's meeting. If you had a question and it was not answered, what you can do, you can visit our website. Again, it's www.menashpro.com. You can schedule a general consultation to have a one-on-one sit down with me for any questions that you may have wanted to get answered. Oh, it's on the screen right now, so you can schedule your appointment there. And I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Some of you have been consistently attending our sessions since Monday. If you want a recording of this, you can send an email to Jason. I think he put his email address in the chat. So thank you again and good night.